Hey guys, it's Pope. Today I have a special vlog for you guys. I am heading down to downtown Atlanta tonight, and I have a guest on my channel today, and it's going to be super great and a very informative video that I've been planning for a while, and I'm excited to bring you guys some quality information from an expert. So I've just made it to Atlanta, and I am here at CrossFit Identity, and I'm working today with my physical therapist, Lauren. Say your last name so I don't butcher it.
Polivka.
That's a fancy last name. She owns Repair and Recovery, and she has been treating me for several years now throughout my entire weightlifting career and helped me through all of my injuries. And most recently, the one that I've dealt with was when my back really flared up and I strained or sprained my QLs and everything kind of seized up. So that's what we're going to be going over today, how I managed getting through that injury. So those of you that have followed my whole journey since the university world know kind of about this injury that I dealt with. The week before I went to Asia, before I left for Taiwan for the University World Games, my back started just feeling tight, and I noticed like visible knots in my erectors. And it wasn't really painful at that time, so I was just trying to like stretch it and like use lacrosse ball and do whatever I could to get them out, but they just never went away. And during the competition I felt it getting tighter and tighter, and the day after I competed I could barely stand up straight. I was like hunchback. It was so knotted up. I kind of just laid low and did nothing for several weeks till I could get back home to the States, and actually all the way back to Georgia before I could really get any help. And that is when I came to see Lauren, and I was a hot mess. I could not bend over and touch my toes. I couldn't do an air squat. I couldn't do anything. And she can kind of explain more of like what she saw from more of a medical standpoint. But for me, I was just kind of almost disabled. I couldn't even function like a normal human.
When she came in, I always do a posture exam on all my athletes when they first walk in the door. I just look at like, what does your body look like at rest? Like, what's your muscle tone look like? What's your body holding on to like for dear life to basically survive? The QLs, which is basically a muscle that runs from your pelvis to the lower part of your ribs and then over to your lumbar spine. It's like this big deep wedge, and when it gets short, I mean, that is the muscle thinking that you have to like go to the ER, that you need injections, like, you know, call help when it locks up that bad. Weightlifting does what's called a ton of axial loading. What I mean by that is when the bar is on your back, in front of you for a clean, overhead for a snatch, is all of that weight is just trying to, which you can probably, you know, it's trying to crush your soul when it's heavy. It's just trying to shrink you like to the ground. And that is exactly what the QL does when it gets tight. So you have to think about that when you treat weightlifters. What is it in their sport, and what is the pathway that by doing repetition and going heavy and training for competition and volume and recovery, what is the most likely muscles or joints or things that are going to be at risk, and then specific ways to treat them. So what we're going to do today with Kristen is we're going to do some dry needling, because it's always good to get maintenance work, getting her nervous system to respond to these muscles and finally decide to let that muscle go and get her back to health. And she responds awesome. She leaves like a different human.
Yeah. So once we got to where I could lift again, I've been coming in maybe once a month to just get some, like she said, maintenance needling, and we go over my exercises and make sure that I'm doing them correctly.
Homework is the only way you win.
And I'm going to demo those exercises that I do in my daily warm-up every day to make sure everything is primed and ready for heavy lifts.
All right, so whenever my athletes come in, we always start with this postural exam to see like where their bodies are right now. I call it initial conditions, so meaning when they walk in for a training session, where are their bodies and how are they going to be able to perform regardless of warm-ups or anything. I'm going to look at resting tone of her back. So I'm looking at all of these back muscles. How do they look? Do things look overly tight or whatnot? I see a lot of like creasing and wrinkling through here. Second, what we do is we do a toe touch. Why? Because it tells me about her lumbar spine, which is her low back, and her pelvis and how they move. Super important to weight lift and squat. So she's gonna bring her feet together, and Kristen, keep your knees completely straight. Bend down and touch your toes. What I'm looking for is how these low back muscles work. Right now, they are pretty rock solid. She's gonna stand back up. We'll reassess it after we treat her. She's gonna widen her feet out to wherever sort of feels normal for her to do some squats. So as she squats up and down, we're just paying attention to what does the tone look like in her low back. Do her muscles grab on as she goes down into the squat? Right now you can see some pretty good extension and grabbing of her erectors as she squats up and down. So again, we're gonna treat her and then we're gonna reassess and see what happens. And then back. Perfect. This is called trigger point dry needling. Acupuncture needle that goes directly down into the muscle. And my goal is that that muscle starts involuntarily twitching like crazy, and what I mean by that is the needle's not really creating it to happen like an electrical stimulation, and she's not doing it, but what it is, it's actually her nerves sending a signal into the muscle and releasing it. The cool thing about this, and as it relates to using this technique in weightlifters, is that they have very strong nervous systems, meaning it fatigues out on a daily basis. Would you say so?
Most days.
So if I stimulate her nervous system to heal itself, it really knows what to do because that's what she does on a daily basis. So we're just keep moving this in. Feel underneath my fingertips the muscle twitching. Just got a big one there. Good. So then we always reassess afterwards. Did anything work that we actually just did? One thing I'm already looking at is that she looks way more relaxed through here. Do you feel any different?
Yeah,
right now?
Stand up straighter.
She has good posture again. So she's gonna bring her feet together and then she's gonna fold forward and touch her toes. As she does this, again, I mean, she's already going way farther. What I mean by that is there's space and length between her pelvis and her rib cage a lot better than before. Do you feel better there too?
It's like 4 inches farther.
Yeah, go and stand up. That's the awesome thing is that whenever we do this, she stands back up and she's like, becomes like a rag doll. She's like, what the? How did I get there? And then she's gonna widen her feet out to whatever is her comfortable stance to squat. And she's just gonna do a couple squats there. And we're just gonna assess looking at how her pelvis and everything moves. And again, just all the tone in her muscles looks a lot more relaxed. They aren't grabbing on as much. So cool. Now we have to do homework.
Now that you've kind of seen the treatment that I was getting with like actual physical medical treatment with the needles, now we're going to go out in the gym and we're going to go over the biggest things that have helped me with my recovery from this injury. And these are the things that I do on the day-to-day. I've been doing rehab exercise and prehab exercises for years and years, obviously, my gymnastics career and my weightlifting career, but these 3 specific things have helped my back in particular and helped me get back to weightlifting and hitting new PRs since I've dealt with this back issue.
And finding your hamstrings.
That was one of the biggest things, is my hamstrings were basically not taking, they weren't taking any of the load on my lifting. It was all of my lower back and trying to use my quads, but only using part of my muscles was obviously not working and led to injury. So now I know how to fire all of my leg muscles. And you will too.
So this exercise is called the 4-way banded release. I like to call it the weightlifter split. She's gonna go ahead and wrap this around her body. I personally like to use bands whenever you stretch because it creates tension throughout your entire system, the exact same way that with lifting you always have to create tension. So she's creating tension but learning how to move in and out of positions, which is basically what mobility is as it pertains to lifting weights. She's gonna take that band and she's gonna wrap it all the way around the front of her foot. And then she's gonna go ahead and lie on her back and completely straighten out this leg. She wants to create length throughout her system as she does this. So she's gonna take this leg and really reach through this heel on the ground, constantly maintaining that. This leg is gonna be completely straight. So if you cannot straighten it out completely, you just have to go ahead and push through that and lower it down. But she's good, she's gonna be there. She's gonna relax this foot, and already, it's gonna feel awesome. She's gonna take a deep breath in. When she exhales, she's gonna lift her left leg up in the air to meet her right leg and hold there for a second because we want to make sure that you're engaging your lower abdominals. As she takes a deep breath in, she's going to lower down. As she exhales, she's going to use her low abs to bring her leg back up. So pre-workout, you do this about 10 times. That's the first movement. After she does this 10 times, she's going to reach this leg down. I say get tall on the floor, so she's reaching. She's going to take a deep breath in, kicking this leg to the ground. And as she exhales, she's going to whip that leg up. And deep breath in, she's gonna reach through her heel and hold, creating length through her pelvis, and exhale up. So you do that 10 times as well. The breath is super important. After that, she's gonna bring this leg up and hold it there. She's gonna reach up to the top of this band, and we're gonna do what's called ankle flossing, and that's just because mobilization of the calf is huge for the end range of your squatting. So as she goes back and forth here, she's using the band, and she's also using actively the muscles in her leg to mobilize that ankle. After that, she's gonna bring her hands back down, and now we do like basically the worst part. And what you're gonna do is she's gonna take her leg, she's bringing it slightly across her body. As she does that, she's thinking of taking her thigh bone, which is her femur, and driving it back and into the socket. I'm just giving her extra force to be mean here. How does that feel?
Horrible.
So it's just because at the end range of your pulling position and of your squat, that femur needs to go back in the socket. If it's out here, you're gonna pull with your low back. So she's gonna breathe and hold out, and then she's gonna go the opposite way. The weightlifter's middle splits, which means as she reaches long through that band, she's trying to reach out of her adductors while holding the opposite side of her pelvis down. And again, she's gonna bring that back up. She's gonna screw that hip into place as she pulls it across her body. You don't need to go super far here. If you grimace, if you wanna cuss a little bit, it's probably because you're doing it right. And then she's gonna open it up and hold it there. So you do 10 reps of each of those movements on each side, pre-workout. Post-workout, an awesome thing to do is just sit in those movements for like 30 to 60 seconds. All right, these are double leg banded bridges. Everyone's done a bridge. I think like everybody has done a bridge in some fashion before. We are going to specifically cue this exercise for weightlifting. What I mean by that is it's not gonna be a push anymore, it's gonna be a pull, and it's gonna be to fire up your hamstrings and your feet. She's gonna take a medium lateral resistance band, start with this one first, up around to the top of her kneecaps. And she's gonna take a light lateral resistance band, and you're gonna place this on your feet. She's going to lie on her back. You're gonna pull your feet straight out, okay, toes forward, and you're really gonna screw those feet into the ground. Think of it just like weightlifting. You don't wanna have sloppy feet. As far as the bands up here goes, she's gonna think of slightly pushing out against that band. I like to say pinch a penny in your butt, because then you know you're actually firing up those deep lower part of your glute muscles, which is what you want. As she starts slowly lifting her pelvis up into the air, she's gonna think of pulling her hips up into the air. So you see her knees are moving over her feet. When she gets up there, she's gonna really fire these guys up, and she's gonna hold it for 3 breaths. With each exhalation, she's gonna think more glutes, more hammies, more feet. When she lowers herself down, she's gonna keep the weight in her feet and lower slowly. So again, go ahead and Kristen, pull yourself up. She's gonna hold for 3 breaths, and then she's gonna lower down. And we can just show the wrong way to do it. So I want you to think of pushing yourself up, that the weight goes into your head, neck, and shoulders. You see a distended belly, a really arched back, okay? That's what I see most people doing when they do these type of bridges. So pull, not a push, glute, hamstrings, strong feet into the ground, game changer. This is called a Z-sit with various rotations. What a Z-sit means is, or it sort of looks like a cheerleader sit, if you were a cheerleader like me back in the day. And Kristen. She's gonna bring one leg in front and the other leg behind. Her pelvis is squared straight forward. If you cannot do this comfortably, which many of you won't be able to, you can go ahead and put some padding underneath your butt so that it sort of levels you out, okay? So like we said, axial loading, meaning compression that's going straight down and trying to shorten you. Obviously, we're not gonna let it shorten our spine. We figure out how to keep that tall, but it likes to shorten your QLs. So this is a great way to try to create length, breathing patterns, and everything to get out of that. So she's gonna keep this left hand here. Her right arm's gonna reach straight up. As she holds there, she's gonna take a huge deep breath in, thinking of getting tall. As she exhales, she's gonna go straight over and actually try to look straight forward from the other person. And she's gonna hold this for a couple breaths. She's gonna think of breathing into this lower part of her rib, so push your hands into me. And as she exhales, she's gonna come forward. And again, breathe in and exhale over. Now she's gonna wrap her body around. This gets a little spicy for people. And she's gonna really try to think of that if there is a line from her low back across her ribs and out her hand, that she's trying to stretch that line out. And again, using her breath. And then she's gonna sit up tall. She's gonna fire up this glute, trying to open up this hip forward and rotating. Let's just rotate right there. And then again, she's gonna take a deep breath in and wrap herself around, lengthening that big line that comes across her QLs and out her hand. And then she's gonna fire up that glute, which helps mobilize that hip and open up. After you do that about 5 times, she's gonna take this right hand, she's gonna place it on the ground, so actually put your elbow flat onto the mat. This arm goes overhead. She's gonna take a deep breath in. And when she exhales, she's gonna reach over, eyes straight forward, really trying to lift, expand, and get length through here. Can you feel that okay? Mm-hmm. And then we're gonna wrap around. As she wraps around, she's reaching through her fingertips. And again, now we're just taking a different position, a different hip position of lengthening through there. She's gonna take a deep breath in and just sit here. And exhale, really reach across. Really working on that hip pelvic mobility, and then all of those lines that come across the fascia and the muscular system of the back. Nice, and sit up. Perfect.
So I've shown you the actual treatment segment of a visit with Lauren and our homework review and exercise demos. Last part of my visit today is hanging out in the recovery area. I'm a big fan of the Normatec boosts, so I am using those currently. I try to use these as much as possible. I maybe use them 3, sometimes even 5 times a week when I'm doing high volume. I have a pair at home and I use them here as well, so that's super cool to be able to do that. They definitely help my legs recover faster, especially like during a time right now when I'm doing lots of 10s on squats. I need whatever help I can get. Hope you guys liked this video. It has actually been my most requested topic to go over. Sorry, it's taken me a bit of a while to do it, but I had to bring in my expert for this one, and I wanted to make sure she was involved on it so we could do it well and it could be very informative. If it was helpful for you, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Comment below if you want to see more videos like this, if you want to see us team up again on another area of the body, or if you have any ideas for us to do for content, I would more than appreciate that. Be sure to check out Lauren's YouTube channel. She has a lot of content with a lot of other rehab exercises and ideas for your warm-up routine. I was trying to give you an insight in what I've been doing, but she has a lot of other content on that repair and recovery channel. And she's gonna tell you how to find her if you need some help from a PT. www.lpdpt.com. There you can send me any type of inquiries if you have some questions. I'm also available to do remote coaching, so I take athletes from all over the United States and world, look at their programming, look at their injury. We do FaceTime and Skype, and then I send programming actually to help complement your program, keep you injury free, and keep you hitting your goals. So hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.
We killed it!